Topping today's news, traffic police investigating 2 fatalities within hours of each other on Tuesday. Debate in Parliament begins on the mid-year budget communication. The opposition leader weighs in on the reduced price of eggs and the Golden Yoke program. And the Royal Bahamas Police Force continues its efforts to regain public trust as it celebrates Police Month. This is your JCN Evening News. I'm Jcn Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. 66 people died in traffic accidents in the Bahamas last year. In the past week, there have been 3, with 2 happening just yesterday. The first accident occurred after 3 p.m. on Sapodilla Boulevard and Thatch Palm Avenue off East Street South in Pinewood Gardens, involving 3 vehicles, including a black Nissan Cube, driven by a female who reportedly failed to stop at the junction and collided with a 2012 Mark X and a Mitsubishi L300. The driver of the Cube died on scene. The second traffic fatality yesterday happened on Prince Charles Drive shortly before 7 p.m. When officers arrived on scene, they discovered an extensively damaged white Toyota Corolla that had collided with a lamppost on the southern side of Prince Charles Drive. The man, who was the only person in that vehicle, died on scene. According to the Minister of Transport, Jobeth Kobe Davis, today in the House of Assembly, there have been 14 traffic fatalities already this year. Meanwhile, police shared the following traffic safety tips to try and prevent these accidents from happening. Always wear your seatbelts and secure infants in the appropriate seating. Remain alert to possible hazards. Do not use cell phones, eat, or apply makeup when you're driving. Always drive within the speed limit and obey all traffic signs and signals. Leading off debate on the mid-year budget, Prime Minister Philip Davis, the Minister of Finance, downplayed criticism from the official opposition that the government has not done enough to make life better for the average Bahamian and has engaged in millions of dollars of reckless spending. To the contrary, Mr. Davis said, as part of the government's fiscal plan, numerous initiatives have been implemented to bring relief to the Bahamian people.
Mr. Speaker, we have shown that compassion and strategic investments in our people and our country can coexist with fiscal responsibility. In September 2021, we met record high budgetary deficits in the hundreds of millions. Now we have delivered the lowest recorded deficits in years as we move closer to a balanced budget. We have knocked $1 billion off our deficit, while at the same time providing more funding for local governments, launching a National Youth Guard program, putting free Wi-Fi in our parks, expanding urban renewal outreach, and deploying new ambulances.
The Prime Minister was also happy to announce that the school breakfast program is now in 91 schools across the country and is helping families make ends meet, along with the reduction in value-added tax on food items from 10% to 5% beginning April 1st. The Prime Minister also addressed the government's exorbitant travel budget that has been a bone of contention for the opposition since those numbers were revealed last week.
There has been considerable discussion about the cost of travel. Let me be clear. The benefits gained by travel have far exceeded the costs. Far exceeded the costs. The successful promotion of our country, the strategic partnerships and investments, the advocacy and coalition building, these have already justified the cost of travel many times over. Not to mention the benefits which will continue to accrue. Record-breaking visitor numbers, new airlift, the removal of our country from the blacklist, record investment in the pipeline, including the $1.5 billion in Grand Bahama alone. Yes. The $200 million agreement just forged with the Afri-Exim Bank for infrastructure will be an important catalyst for economic growth and jobs in our country.
The Prime Minister also noted that the budget invests significantly in fighting crime. We'll have more on the Prime Minister's contribution in a later report. In the meantime, Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama and the FNM's Shadow Minister of Finance, Mr. Kwesi Thompson, says the mid-year budget statement is not a true reflection of the economic state of the country.
Madam Speaker, the government's 2024-2025 mid-year budget review was nothing more, in my view, than a carefully orchestrated illusion designed to mask the harsh reality of struggle, suffering, and stagnation. While the government boasts of progress, families are drowning under the weight of skyrocketing costs, and crime continues to spiral. Madam Speaker, the government would have us believe that the government's fiscal hole is merely the result of front-loading capital spending. But the facts tell a different story.
Additionally, Thompson noted that the numbers do not add up. He says although revenue numbers are up, so is the current deficit.
According to the mid-year budget communication, recurrent spending ballooned by $192.3 million year over year. At the same time, capital spending surged by $86 million. Now let's talk about the numbers that are not, in my view, adequately explained. The deficit stands at nearly $400 million, 5 times the full year deficit target. Madam Speaker, the math, as they say, is not mathing. And how is this actually possible at the same time you have record revenues? How does the government plan to plug this massive shortfall? Where is the plan to rein in the reckless spending?
Thompson is calling on the government to be truthful about their endeavors, as he says the budget statement is misleading to Bahamians. During his contribution, Prime Minister Philip Davis said the opposition's portrayal of the budget deficit is misleading. The Prime Minister expressed confidence that the government will not exceed its projected budget targets. Today, outside the House of Assembly, we heard from Opposition Leader Michael Pintard as he addressed concerns from the public about the recently decrease in egg prices. Mr. Pintard ensured the public of the safety and the quality of the eggs that are being sold at SuperValue, whilst expressing his support for the new efforts to reduce the cost of eggs.
What we want is for affordable prices for Bahamians, and there are a number of measures that can accomplish that, and we support those measures. As long as the regular testing is done, and we have an agency that's more than capable of doing that, and that is the Agriculture, Food, Health and Safety Organization under the Ministry of Agriculture. And so BASPA can in fact do any research to determine safety. So we have very little concerns there.
Mr. Pintard, though, questioned the Davis administration about the millions of dollars allocated for the Golden Yolk Egg Production Program. He said if successfully executed, the program would have allowed the Bahamas to be self-sufficient in egg production. And finally, in this segment, today, Chairman for the Progressive Liberal Party and the Foreign Affairs Minister, Fred Mitchell, dismissed calls by the opposition to reveal information regarding the reasons for the government reallocating some $2 million from various government agencies to cover travel expenses. Well, Leader of the Opposition and Member of Parliament for Marcos City, Michael Pintard, says this is another blatant example of the Davis administration breaking the law.
The chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party or the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we have difficulties figuring out which capacity he's functioning in. He doesn't appreciate that he has an obligation to share information so the public can understand how their monies are being spent. And so, again, he's the gift that keeps on giving. He continues to demonstrate that they are not prepared to be transparent for the Bahamian people, and it's unhelpful to the government.
Pintard says he wants members of Parliament and the public to understand that the submission of information is not a choice, but it is mandatory.
The head of the Public Disclosure Commission is a pastor, so I would not want to characterize him as coming and providing us with the list. We got several senators who were not compliant last time, but the commission refused to release the members of parliament, which is their obligation. This isn't an option that they have to withhold the information. A problem with the office does not affect all of us filling out the information and sending it in. Even if not all the details are there, the flexibility allows you to get in the core information and to update it. So really we ought to be submitting that information.
Mr. Pintard noted that he and his party members have all declared their information to the Public Disclosure Commission and have been active in the process to ensure the Commission receives the relevant information. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back following these commercials.